One of the things that's come up in conversations about sets and set dynamics is intimacy coaches.
Coordinators.
Yeah, coordinators, is that the term? And actually, you often hear people, I've heard Michaela Cole say, I love my intimacy coordinator. And then one or two people, Gwyneth Paltrow is one, Mikey Madison apparently, do you know about this? In Anora, said she didn't want an intimacy coordinator. They're the people who can make sure that the acting of the intimate scenes goes smoothly for everyone.
And that people are safe.
And that they're safe.
It's not to get in the way, it's not to confuse, it's not to make things more complicated or make things more awkward. It's simply to make sure that everybody is happy with what they're creating, and also that you're creating things that have meaning to them. I think I've had good ones and bad ones. I did a lot of my sex scenes before that was even a job.
Really?
And I think I'm quite confident. I'm quite happy in my skin. And I've always been able to make sure that I'm heard. That being said, even though I know that I believe that, and even though I know that I felt that at the time, there are plenty of things that I remember where it was just completely inappropriate to have asked me to do that, to have directed me in that way. But it's my view is changing about it as well, because I'm now having fantastic experiences with intimacy coordinators. However, that being said, I've also had like a shit example where someone just made it so weird and so awkward and really wasn't helpful, and kind of was just like wanting to be a part of the set in a way that wasn't helpful. And I think it's like, it's a job that's still figuring itself out. But I will say that I've been able to understand better meaning now through working with great ones in sex scenes, finding the story of what it is, what kind of sex is it, how do you touch each other, how long have you been having sex for? All of these things really, really matter when you're trying to build, for example, like a relationship that's been going for 10 years. And I'd never thought of it like that before, because sex scenes are so awkward for everybody on set. So much of the time you're like, okay, so then you'd go there and all right, brilliant, and then it's done, and you're like kind of, or everybody's just kind of working away to chip away at the scene. And I think when I worked with a fantastic coordinator, I was like, oh, this is what I've been missing, understanding the dance of intimacy as opposed to just shooting a sex scene. So I do think it's like there are good ones and bad ones, and it's through the good one that I have learned how effective it can really be.
How kind of sort of literal is it? Is it sort of like we've agreed this set of...
Yeah. Whereas before that was never the case.
Really?
So now what will happen is the conversations around the sex scenes will happen for maybe a good few weeks beforehand, which is important. So everybody feels comfortable and it's not embarrassing saying certain things anymore. Then they'll usually ask what your comfort levels...
Embarrassing saying what kind of things?
Well, most of the time, whenever you'd come to a sex scene, you'd come, like, years ago, you'd come to set and you'd start talking about it then. And then you'd be trying to discuss, like, what your vision was or what their vision was. And it was all very... only in that moment that you'd be discussing it. So it would feel a bit strange or a bit... awkward. Whereas I think now the communication and talking about it happens for, a good chunk of time beforehand. So everybody feels aware of what's going to happen, how they're going to shoot it. You have safe words, you have areas that you don't like being touched, areas that are fine for someone to touch. All of these conversations are actually now happening, whereas before they didn't happen before.
Are some bits taped off? Like, would you have coverings over certain parts of you? Would you wear little slips and things?
Yes, and it's their job to be in charge of that. So you can imagine before, there wasn't a specific person on set to be in charge of your coverage. Really? So costume were in charge of it, which they always are, and sometimes they would do a great job. Sometimes they'd just get you one type of thong that might not work on you, might not fit you. So I had experience in the past where we were using wig glue to, like, stitch me down, because someone wasn't really thinking about it, wasn't really looking after that part of it. But you've now got a dedicated person that is there to make sure that all of your comfort is being thought about. And what's allowed on camera, what's not allowed on camera, all of that is also arranged with your lawyer, because that has to be put into the contract.
Really?
Yeah. So your lawyer will basically be going through and making sure that a nudity rider, what you are allowing and what you're not allowing.
And it will be spelled out.
Yes.
To the point we'll say.
Yes.
What
Not show, will show.
Nipple.
Nipple
Upper
will
breast.
be on show, will not show. Vagina will not show this, or whatever it is. It's like, and then it'll be like, will show rear shot, but only from this scene onwards, or only from. But then also it has to be. Everybody has to be aware of what's being shot. So I wouldn't, for example, go to set having just said I don't mind my bum being on camera, without knowing what their shot is, because if their shot is then to actually put the camera here and I'm bending over, that's not something that I'd ever agree to. So everything has to be spelled out. Also, those days are so, everybody has to be so tender because it's very exposing, and the crew are super respectful. Everybody looks away when you undress. Everybody looks away when you dress. The only time that they are focused is when you're doing the scene. Cameramen turn their backs, or camera women turn their backs. Everybody's very, very, very aware of how gentle the day should feel. And obviously you have closed sets, so the monitors won't be. If it's a good set, the monitors will not be on outside of the room.